Ignition. Liftoff.
Coming to you live from the White Picket Studios in Houston, Texas, this is the Realty Ruckus. If you are in any way, shape, or form involved in the real estate industry, this is the show for you. And now, your host, Alan Hernandez.
What's up, everyone? This is Jabron Hernandez. Alan Hernandez will not be with us today. He's on a beach somewhere drinking a margarita and a pina colada.
At the same time.
At the same time. So today we have a show. It's going to be me, David, our co-producer, and then Ashley Patton is in studio with us today. And we're going to be talking some legal later on. But we wanted to start off because we had a show recently where all we did is discuss Airbnb.
Yes.
And we talked about how you can do your Airbnb, all the advantages. And as we're talking about this morning, one of us searches for Airbnb. Come to find out, in Santa Monica, California, they had the very first conviction.
Yep.
Through the city, correct? Like, so the city filed a lawsuit against them.
Yeah, Santa Monica filed a lawsuit, and it looks like they were trying to charge him with 6 different misdemeanor counts.
Yeah, so this is actual criminal counts, guys. This is things that they were doing that they found them for criminal activity. They got charged finally with 8 misdemeanor counts. The fine isn't a big deal. It's a $3,500 fine. But they do have probation for 2 years.
Wow.
So not only did they have to pay that fine, but they have to sit on probation for 2 years. I mean, it's like a criminal.
Well, he was facing jail time, and obviously, in the legal system, they try to cut a deal with you.
Yeah.
And so the deal was for him for that probation to not basically face that jail time.
That's incredible, because I read that when they passed this law there that prohibited the short-term rentals, which, by the way, guys, Houston has the same ordinance.
Right.
Any rental less than 30 days is considered a short-term rental. And the big difference is that in Santa Monica, they still allow you to rent out a room in your house for less than 30 days as long as the owner is present. Now, the difference here in Houston is any rental less than 30 days is considered short-term and is not allowed. Now, we don't have a task force. They created a special task force and everything to go after people, and clearly they're trying to make a point out of this guy.
Yeah, well, Santa Monica freely admitted that they were making an example of him. They want to scare people. They want to scare those Airbnb landlords to no longer.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would kind of freak me out too. I wouldn't want to have to go through the legal system because I rented out a place. I mean, that's absurd to me.
The biggest problem is a $3,500 fine, but how much legal fees does it take to get that $3,500 fine? Because just like a DWI, the first offense DWI is a misdemeanor, but the average cost is $10,000 in legal fees.
Yeah, that you're 100% right. And I know that when we fought our HOA, we weren't fighting the city, we were fighting the HOA.
Right.
And we wound up spending a fortune in legal fees. So I can't imagine fighting 8 misdemeanors. And then what kind of attorney would you even get for that? I mean, a criminal defense?
A criminal defense attorney, because they're trying to put you in jail.
Yeah.
And so it's just like anything else. I mean, if you have speeding tickets, any type of a misdemeanor, it could result in criminal time. So you got to get a criminal defense attorney.
That's just crazy to me. And so now that this has happened, I'm sure this is going to set the precedent for several other cities to start doing the exact same thing.
It only takes one.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. And the biggest thing is this guy pled no contest. So they kind of worked out a deal with him. And he agreed to take the 8 citations for the misdemeanors. I think it's crazy he's going to do 2 years of probation. I mean, that seems so criminal.
Did they say if it was supervised or unsupervised probation?
It doesn't say, it doesn't specify.
I'm sure he probably coded his probation officer once a month.
Isn't that crazy?
Show up for P-test.
So technically, he won't be allowed to drink or be anywhere where alcohol is sold or served. Is that correct? When you're on probation?
That's correct.
That's crazy to me. This is somebody who was renting out houses. And now he's being tried as a criminal. I mean, to me, that should have just been a civil violation. Here, you pay this fine. Here's an injunction. You stop doing it, and that's it. But instead, they've set this precedent that you can be tried as a criminal.
Right.
So if you're out there and you're doing Airbnbs, Houston hasn't done this, and Houston hasn't really enforced any type of Airbnb activity, which they easily could if they wanted to. I just don't think it's very high up on their radar. But as these short-term rentals become more and more popular, especially leading towards Super Bowl, trust me, Houston is no no dummy. They know that Super Bowl's coming up. They know that there's going to be a huge demand for places to stay for a short term. So you really want to watch yourself. I mean, this is getting into a big deal, and especially with places like New York holding Airbnb and VRBO responsible, not the actual homeowners. They're really hitting on both fronts. They're really trying to stop this. It's becoming a problem. So when we come back, guys, we're getting ready to go on break. We want to talk about the recent ending of the Republican National Convention. We want to talk about what it looks like for elections and how do election years actually affect the real estate market. And you'll actually be surprised because they have a more profound effect than you would imagine. So we're going to go to break and we'll be back in a few minutes.
NAREP Greater Houston is bringing the country's top realtors and lenders to one place to help you develop, retain, and grow a powerful team in real estate. July 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Gallery Furniture Southwest. Make sure you reserve your spot. This is going to be the place to be. Email us at houston@narep.org. That's houston@nahrep.org for more information. Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join@teamwpr.com. join@teamwpr.com.
Hey Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, David@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's David@houseflippingnetwork.com.
The Realty Ruckus is going to be broadcasting live August 9th at White Picket Realty's Happy Hour. This is an event for you guys to RSVP for and really get ready to ramp up your business. David, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
That's right, Alan. Come grab a cold one and beat the heat with Team WPR. We'll have over 200 plus real estate industry professionals attending. That's private money lenders, wholesalers, realtors, you name it. We'll be at the St. Arnold Brewery on August 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. You can RSVP at whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. Again, that RSVP link is whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. And David, how's the weather look out there for today and for the weekend for everyone who has plans?
It's wicked hot out there, triple digits again, 100 degrees today. We might get a little bit of a break over the weekend with some scattered thunderstorms expected. Cool us off a little bit, but not too much. Don't expect anything too great. Probably more mugginess than cooling off, honestly.
That's Houston for you.
97 for a high on Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been hot. It's certainly been extremely, extremely hot out there. So we talked about the Airbnb, and I wanted to jump into the Republican National Convention. So it's over now. It's official. Donald Trump is going to be the candidate for the Republican National Convention. I think everyone knew that going into it, that he was going to get the nomination. They weren't going to steal the nomination from him. But that's not the biggest deal. The biggest deal that happened at the Republican National Convention was actually Senator Ted Cruz from Texas refusing to endorse Donald Trump. So part of the rules of when you run under the party is that if you lose, you agree that you're going to support the candidate. Right. That you're going to say, hey, I'm going to back you. I'm going to endorse you. And Ted Cruz went up there. And what's even more crazy is it's my understanding Donald Trump read the speech prior to the speech going live.
Yeah, I think he has to approve the speeches before they get up there and speak.
So he knew what was going to happen before it happened, or maybe Ted Cruz changed it. No one knows. But basically, he goes up on the stage, and rather than saying, yes, I'm going to support Donald Trump, he tells the people, what was the exact
He
phrase?
told them to vote their conscience.
Yeah, he told people to vote their conscience and did not endorse Donald Trump. Now, this is a really big deal because I can already see it. In about 2 or 3 months, there's going to be commercials, or maybe even when Ted Cruz is up for re-election, there's going to be commercials that show him, and it's going to be on one side him saying, I'm a man of my word, I keep my word, and on the other side, him refusing to endorse Donald Trump. So it took a lot of cojones to do what he did.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it was really the smartest move for his career.
Well, see, now he's coming out saying it's because Trump attacked his wife. And so if you attack his family, of course, you can't endorse somebody, which I still think is political suicide.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that he's basically ending his political career right there because he's a clear backstabber now.
Right.
And I get it. That the election was ugly. The primaries were horrible, the way that they went on the Republican side. And even on the Democratic side, the primaries were very fierce. But at the end of the day, it's about unifying the party, whichever side that you lean on. So I'm not endorsing either side. I'm not leaning to either side, but I'm saying you're supposed to unify your party and then say, okay, we're going to make a strong push for the general. But by him doing that is him saying, I'm not with the party.
Right.
Yeah, and this election cycle has been, I would say, more entertaining than usual, a little bit crazier than usual, and a lot more divisive than usual. And in the past, I believe there's data that shows election years affect the housing market.
Absolutely, and that's what I find very interesting is that typically you said there's about 0.5% at less than sales price or sales total sales.
No, it's what happens is that prices actually drop slightly.
Oh, so
during
it is the price itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
The price itself drops slightly during election years, and it's especially tied mostly to consumer confidence and how they feel toward the economy. So when consumers are feeling really good about the economy, there's still a price drop. It's just not as significant. So right now, even though the economy is relatively healthy, we don't see a lot of consumer confidence right now in this market.
Right.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, you've got two candidates that are very divisive, that they pull people to two polar opposites, and they both have reasons that people can very much dislike them, whether it be legal reasons or personal reasons. They're candidates that are polarizing. And so I can see why consumer confidence would be down. I mean, I have so many people who say, I have no idea who I'm going to vote for now. And it's crazy because last night on Google, there was a spike in a search term, 1,150% spike in this search term. Can you guys guess what it was?
I have no idea.
Third-party candidate.
Oh.
That was the spike. This was during Trump's speech last night.
Wow.
That search term spiked on Google. Third-party candidate.
That's not good.
No, I mean, this is telling you that people are worried.
And
People are
very
concerned.
unsure.
Yeah.
Unsure about the direction the country could possibly go in, which directly in turn affects the economy and the housing markets.
Yeah, and you said that home prices actually home sales slow down on election years, especially when there's uncertainty on who's going to be the president. And right now, I think it's really a toss-up. I mean, when you look at it, the top pollster for the Republican Party came out and said, after Trump's speech, I'm predicting it's going to be a 50-50. And before the convention even took place, you already had polls showing Donald Trump leading Hillary in big swing states like Florida,
Right.
Pennsylvania, Ohio. Those are really important swing states. So the fact that he was leading in them was a really big deal. And this is prior to him even being the official nominated candidate. He was just the presumptive candidate at that time. So I can see this actually having a pretty big effect. And on top of that, you stack on the fact that the Federal Reserve just announced that it can be as short as 2.5 weeks before they raise interest rates. And we all know that when you raise interest rates, home sales slow down. So this could be a big slowdown coming here soon. because of the election and the interest rates rising. Now, granted, the Fed has teased for quite some time now, we're going to raise interest rates. We're going to raise interest rates. And they haven't. They've stayed pretty steady. But if they do, and coming with the election year, and if you're about to put a house on the market, you may want to reconsider your pricing.
Yeah, I mean, you guys as the real estate experts, coupled with the rising interest rates and the uncertainty behind this election year, how soon do you see a slowdown in the future, and how soon do you think? Well,
right now we've got the summer, so of course historically June, July, and August are the 3 hottest months for home sales, and the reason why is because the kiddos start school in the end of August. So most of the homes happen in these 3 months.
Trying to get it done now,
right? And so after that happens, who knows? But I mean, I imagine the interest rates going up because they peaked really low whenever Brexit happened, whenever Great Britain left the European Union.
Yeah.
And, just getting back to uncertainty. I mean, I think uncertainty is one of the real reasons. I mean, if you look at the vote between Al Gore and
W.
Whenever the Chads, they're hanging the Chads. I mean, the economy went to a halt when they kept on counting and recounting because people didn't care whether W got elected or Al Gore got elected. At the end of the day, they just wanted to find out who was going to be president. And so that uncertainty is a big, huge stopping. Yeah,
and that's something that we'll have to keep watching as we move forward in the coming months and leading up to the election. But when we come back, we've got more information for you, and we'll see you then.
NAREP Greater Houston is bringing the country's top realtors and lenders to one place to help you develop, retain, and grow a powerful team in real estate. July 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Gallery Furniture Southwest. Make sure you reserve your spot. This is going to be the place to be. Email us at houston@narep.org. That's houston@nahrep.org for more information. Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join@teamwpr.com. join@teamwpr.com.
Hey, Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, David@houseflippingnetwork.com. That's David@houseflippingnetwork.com.
The Realty Ruckus is going to be broadcasting live August 9th at White Picket Realty's Happy Hour. This is an event for you guys to RSVP for and really get ready to ramp up your business. David, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
That's right, Alan. Come grab a cold one and beat the heat with Team WPR. We'll have over 200 plus real estate industry professionals attending. That's private money lenders, wholesalers, realtors, you name it. We'll be at the St. Arnold Brewery on August 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. You can RSVP at whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. Again, that RSVP link is whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. Remember, guys, if you guys want to leave us comments or questions, you can always do that on the Facebook live feed. It is under Alan Hernandez's Facebook. And also on YouTube, you can watch us live on YouTube. And if you'd like to text us because you don't have any of the other ones, you can always text us at 24587. Just make sure you put RR followed by your comments and text that to 24587. Now, before the break, we were talking about how an election can affect housing and prices and the economy. And David actually found some really cool information over the break. Do you want to share that with us?
Well, yeah, it was actually, I had been listening to a podcast that I actually highly recommend. It's called Freakonomics. And what they were discussing is how do presidential election cycles affect the economy and different markets? And it's very hard to basically tell what's going to happen because you don't ever get to test out the other guy, you know?
Right. Yeah.
When somebody's elected, that's all the data you have. You don't ever get to see the data from the other side. except for one instance where we did have about 4 hours of data. And that's what you were mentioning, Ashley, that really tight election year between Gore and Bush, where for about 4 hours, Gore was actually announced.
For our listeners who may not remember this, or maybe you're like Brandon and don't remember this, if you were in Pampers at that time.
Oh, wow.
What happened is there was recount after recount after recount after recount. And first they announced Gore as the president.
Exactly.
And what effect did that have?
So Gore was officially announced the president. And what happened shortly thereafter was the stock market actually took a dip. It went down and lost some percentage points.
Yeah.
And so for about 4 hours, we saw the effect of, at that time, what a Democratic nominee would have on the markets coming in as the president. Well, then 4 hours later, the script is flipped and our boy W is announced, and the markets actually rose and gained back what they lost and gained some.
Wow.
During that 4 hour window. So that's actually a really interesting time, because we got to see what would happen between the two nominees with both sets of data for a short period of time, but it was still pretty interesting, I think.
That is really cool because, like you said, normally in an election, we only get to see one side of the fence. And we assume that things would be different on the other side, but we never know for sure. But with that one, I mean, we really got to see both sides of it, the Democratic effect and the Republican effect at that time.
Yeah, and when I was doing the research about how the election cycles actually affect the housing market, a lot of researchers state that the reason home sales and prices kind of come down or slow down is because of the uncertainty. Home buyers are kind of wary. They want to kind of check out who's coming in and how are their policies going to affect this huge purchase in my life. And so they would rather hold it off until they're more certain of who's going to be in office and how that could potentially affect that huge purchase or sale of their home.
Yeah, I mean, what they say that a home is the single biggest purchase most people will ever make. So I can see how that would make them concerned if they're unsure of the president. And I'm sure too that if you can see a pathway where the person that you want to be president is not going to win, you can get a little upset about it and maybe not trust the economy, not want to go out and buy a house, not want to go make that big purchase.
Or want to move to Canada or some other place.
It's so funny because I saw a video the other day and it was a Canadian video and they were like, look, America, we get it. You've got Donald Trump and you've got Hillary and one of them is going to be president and everyone wants to move to Canada. But guess what? We've got problems too. And it was talking about the prime minister and how they're having a lot of issues with him and how they don't want, they don't think it's a good thing for Americans to head over there. So I don't know. They're just trying to keep us out of their country.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to keep us out.
Well, everybody's trying to close the southern border. It doesn't matter if you're Canada, America, or anywhere else. For some reason, keep the southern people down.
Those southern folks.
Stop heading north. Yeah, nobody wants people to head north these days. That's interesting. So we do have Ashley in studio today, and jumping off of the political topic for a little bit, and I want to look at some legal aspects. I love having Ashley here. We have him here every Friday, and we get to talk legal. And this week I want to talk about something that really hits home with a lot of homeowners as well as investors, and this is particularly big with first-time investors. Right. And I get this question all the time. I had a contractor come out to a property. He gave me a bid. It was a great number. He presented me with some type of paperwork. The majority of those contractors, not like they have a real contract. It's usually like a handwritten invoice that says, I'm going to do this for this amount of money. And then they ask for 25%, 50%, some amount of money up front. Contractor gets his payment, goes, cashes it, and never comes back, disappears. What recourses as a homeowner, as an investor, do you have for a contractor who's run off?
Basically, there's two recourses. Number one, you sue. Number two, you report them to whoever you can. Yeah. You try to sabotage their name. You try to, the problem is once you sue somebody, you're not going to ask for a specific performance, although you could say, hey, I want you to finish the job. But quite frankly, if they're going to leave the site in the first place, you don't want that guy. You just want to get your money back, which quite frankly, generally the general contractor you hire or the subcontractor you hire pardon my French, but doesn't have a pot to pee in and a window to throw it out. So it's just a lawsuit against an individual in Texas. It's hard to collect.
Yeah. Now, you said something about specific performance and forcing them to go finish the job, but no judge can actually enforce that, right? Like he can't go out there and make sure they're swinging the hammer.
Well, there's always a contract where you can force them to do specific performance, but with a job like work performance, generally specific performance is not an option because you don't want that guy on your work site because
it's true.
You don't want him cutting corners because quite frankly, if he's building the roof, I mean, imagine how many leaks they're going to be, or if he's putting in a floor in, imagine how many cracks they're going to be because the guy's already abandoned off the job. Obviously, he doesn't care to do a good job because he just wanted a down payment and ran.
Yeah.
Now, if you look on the other side, though, where the homeowner or the investor doesn't really have too much of a say-so or too much of a choice to where they're forced to sue. Now, the subcontractor or contractor, general contractor has a statutory lien, constitutional lien, and the subcontractor of the general contractor can then turn around and file what's known as a mechanics lien by affidavit. So essentially, they can lien your property, whether you're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there is a statutory provision for doing that, where all they have to do is send certified mail to the homeowner and to the general contractor, and then record in the real property records on within 45 days from the day the work is done. Now that lien is arguably attachable. And so now if you refinance your house, if you go to sell your house, now you got this lien on your house to where it's subcontractors are now using this to extort builders, to extort homeowners, and to extort first-time investors. Or
yeah, that's rough. But as the homeowner, you said that I can sue. Now, I can go to small claims court if it's less than $10,000.
Correct.
But let's say that I gave him $10,000 or more. Where do I sue? How does that process work?
Well,
what does that look like?
Then you sue district court, which unfortunately, district court, you can't sue by yourself. You almost always need an attorney.
Yeah.
Where small claims court, you don't need an attorney. But district court, if you sue in district court and the other side has an attorney, they'll kill you in procedure.
Yeah.
I mean, because you will miss deadlines, you will miss things, and they will file stuff that you don't know what they are. Because quite frankly, it's the reason why lawyers are good at their game, because they create the rules. And they make it, they make it to where you can't litigate against them, because unless you're just have nothing else to do but study the procedure, the average people will lose against a lawyer.
And what am I looking at spending if I wind up having to go to trial and attorney's fees?
The going price of trying to get one of these mechanics liens done is probably between $35,000 and $45,000.
Wow.
In attorney's fees.
So basically, if I gave someone $15,000, it's almost not even worth chasing them down.
Unfortunately, you're stuck in a principal type matter. But unfortunately, even more unfortunate, subcontractor, it didn't matter if it was $100. The one time that somebody put a $7,500 lien on there, they went ahead and said, hey, why am I going to pay $55,000 in attorney's fees? So they paid the $7,500 to go off. Now every one of his projects has more and more liens on it, because everybody saw him as being, hey, if this guy's going to settle, let's just put a lien on there.
Yeah. And so from the contractor side, it's almost like you said, it's legal extortion is what it comes down to. On the homeowner side, should I call the police? If I'm the investor, if I'm the homeowner, is that even a path? I mean, isn't that criminal? Isn't that theft?
It is, but the cops are not going to take the case. Yeah. They're going to say every time it's a civil matter, and they're not going to do anything. So unfortunately, getting the cops to take a civil matter criminally is very rare unless you know somebody.
Okay. Now,
if your brother-in-law is a DA, you'll get the case every time. But for most of us who aren't related to anybody up top, I mean, it's pretty much it's going to end up, they're going to say, hey, I'm sorry, it's a civil matter. And so no matter how much of extortionist this thing is cops going to say, hey, they had a right to do that because they claim payment.
Yeah.
Now, so many times there is not even an overt act done. All they do is they claim that, hey, I bought the material to go on the property, which is their word against their word.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it's not a good position to be if you're the homeowner, because obviously the homeowner hired a general contractor. Now he can put pressure on his general contractor, but for the most part, the general contractor is either going to try to save the reputation. Now there is a path that they can do called retainage, where it's basically take out 10% and use that to pay the subcontractors. But the problem with the retainage is that doesn't get rid of the lien, the person who files it.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you pay the 10%, the lien still lasts longer than that. So unfortunately, you're going to be stuck either A, paying them off, or B, there's a process that you can bond around it. Now, to bond around a mechanics lien by affidavit, if it's up to $40,000, you have to get a surety bond worth twice the amount. So if it's $39,000, twice that amount. Or if
does that mean I actually have to put up twice that amount of cash? I have to go make a deposit in cash in that amount?
Well, you can go to a surety company to get what's known as a surety bond. They're going to charge about $1,500, but the surety bond wants twice the coverage.
Yeah.
So even though the law says you can use a surety bond, the surety bond, in fact, is going to want something liquid. Right.
Have way too much rights to go and file liens, and they're using it as extortion. So this is the ways that you can try to get the liens removed. And so that one is the surety bond.
Right.
But you said that's about $1,500. But do I also need an attorney? Am I going to have to go to court for that? How does that work?
The surety bond acts the same as a release. So if you get a surety bond, again, the surety bond is going to have to be for the amount of lien plus either 1.5 times over 40,000 or 2 times the amount under 40,000, which, in essence, you're going to have to come with that money anyway. But once that surety bond is filed in the county courthouse and then sent out, then it acts as a release. When we come back, I'll kind of go over exactly how the best way to go around the mechanics lien to make sure that it's not filed on your property.
Yeah. And there's also statutes of limitation that we can talk about when we get back, because just because you have a lien against your property doesn't mean that lien is necessarily valid. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so I've actually seen that where good attorneys are able to get those liens removed because they can fight it in court and say, hey, yeah, this is a lien, but there's no validity behind the lien.
It's no longer enforceable.
So we'll talk about that when we come back from the break, guys. We'll see you on the Ruckus in just a bit.
NAREP Greater Houston is bringing the country's I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join at teamwpr.com. JOIN at teamwpr.com.
Hey, Houston investors, do you have a couple deals under your belt, but now you're looking to scale in a more structured way? If so, then the House Flipping Network provides guidance to those looking to grow their real estate business. It's also a great way to mastermind with our experts and groups of like-minded investors just like yourself. If you're interested in more information, reach out to me, David at houseflippingnetwork.com. That's David at houseflippingnetwork.com.
The Realty Ruckus is going to be broadcasting live August 9th at White Picket Realty's Happy Hour. This is an event for you guys to RSVP for and really get ready to ramp up your business. David, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
That's right, Alan. Come grab a cold one and beat the heat with Team WPR. We'll have over 200 plus real estate industry professionals attending. That's private money lenders, wholesalers, realtors, you name it. We'll be at the St. Arnold Brewery on August 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. You can RSVP at whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. Again, that RSVP link is whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus. We are having a really good discussion right now about contractors liens, and whether you're just a homeowner or you are an actual investor, this is stuff you need to know, guys, because this affects you at the end of the day. It affects your bottom line. You're getting taken, your money's getting taken away. You're literally being robbed. So one scenario, I've got a buddy who likes to pay a lot of things in cash because he says that the contractors always give him a better price in cash. But what wound up happening on one of his properties is he paid all the contractors in cash, and when they were done, they were like, oh, okay, everything's done. I'm out of here. He puts the property on the market, gets a contract, goes and submits it to title. And when he opens up title, he finds out that that same contractor has now filed a lien against his property. So he calls the contractor and says, hey, you know, I paid you, I gave you cash. Why is there a lien against my property? And the contractor says, you never paid me. I never received any payment from you. And now he's got no proof whatsoever that that payment was ever made. That is a big mistake. You've got to make sure that you're getting receipts, that you're getting invoices, that you've got some type of way of proving that that payment was made to that person, even if it's you making them sign on a piece of paper. Isn't that right, Ashley?
That's exactly right. Now, in that situation, would you copy the cash payments?
What do you mean?
Like, in other words, like you copy a check. So if you give somebody cash, would you take a photocopy of the cash payments?
I guess you can't do that.
Can't do that. And why not?
What? I'm not
you can't copy money, right?
Yeah.
Counterfeiting. So it's just,
that make it really hard.
Exactly. So in other words, it's a title company. We used to always copy, checks, cashier's checks. And when somebody come in and bring cash, we'd copy the $500, the $1,000 worth of cash, and then somebody pointed out to us and said, you can't photocopy money because that's called counterfeiting. And so, again, like the Airbnb had a $3,500 misdemeanor thing to kind of roll it all the way around. It's you can't copy cash. Now, what you should do and what you must do is get receipts.
Yeah.
Which is the only safe way, or the only way to minimize your risk of these subcontractors. So in other words, if you have a job that's going to cost $100,000 and you get a general contractor has subcontractors, every time you make payments, you require releases from all the work being done. Now, what work's being done. The floors are being done, the roof's being done, the walls are being done, or whatever. And so you get that general contractor. It's pain in the butt for general contractor, but unfortunately, it's the only safe way to do it. Money goes out, releases come in.
Yeah, and I've actually had a contractor before because I asked for that. I said, hey, I need a release on the work that's being done that I'm paying you for. And he said, well, I can only give you a release on things that are fully completed. And that's not true. There's actually a partial release of lien where they can say, I'm releasing my rights to file a lien against these particular items only.
That's exactly right. Because what happens is if a contractor has XYZ to do, he can give you a release on X when it's done, Y when it's done, and Z when it's done. So it's just and quite frankly, if the general contractor doesn't want to do that because it's too much management, find another general contractor.
Yeah.
Find somebody who will, because with Quicken programs, with all the computer software now, it's not that difficult to say, okay, these general contractors or these subcontractors are going to be doing this. And so when you submit money for this type of project, you have 5 people want to be this. And, when they all get done X, Y, Z, releases are done before you advance any more money.
Yeah. So I have a question. Let's say a contractor does file a lien against my property and I say, who cares? I don't intend to move out of here for several years or sell it for refinance, any of those things for a long time. How long is it that I can wait them out until that thing goes away, or does it ever go away?
Well, essentially, you can wait them out for 29 months. They have a year to foreclose, but by statute, they have a valid lien for 29 months.
Okay.
So, that's on a homestead. It's a little bit longer if it's an investment, but if it's going to be someone's homestead, 29 months.
So it's actually longer if the property's an investment? So if it's a rental property?
I'm sorry. It's a little bit longer if it's investment because
that's interesting.
Homesteads are more protected. So the time frame is shorter. Now, that is just for subcontractor's lien. Now, a general contractor's lien, they have 4 years because that's a statutory lien. Now, subcontractor lien, I told you there was a process to where you have to have a delivery. You notify the owner, notify the general contractor. Well, you have what's known as constitutional lien for your main general contractor, and that doesn't even have to be notified. So, and that can survive bankruptcy too. So if you file bankruptcy, guess what? Those liens stay on the property.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that in a foreclosure situation, all liens are wiped out,
right?
Except for taxes. And that's just not true. There are liens that can survive a foreclosure.
That's correct.
I've actually seen one recently where it was a supply company who filed a lien, and under Texas law, they actually can either have their lien paid off or they can file for the right to foreclose and go in and start removing the materials that they supplied. So they can, anything that's not considered structural, they can remove. So the windows, doors, they can get rid of all of that and just pull it out of the property as long as they don't make other collateral damage. And that's crazy to me. I can't believe that they have that right.
Yeah, that's just basically, that's the reason why when you buy a foreclosure, buyer beware, because you don't know what you're going to get. Because like you said, a foreclosure only wipes out superior liens. If there are superior liens such as taxes, such as mechanic liens on removables, that won't be wiped out. So sometimes the foreclosure sale is probably not the best place because you can't purchase title insurance at the sale, and you really don't know what's out there until you try to sell it, until you try to refinance it, or until you try to do something with a loan. Because then you find out that once you do a title search that there could be liens out there outstanding that, quite frankly, made that good deal not such a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I find really interesting is that contractors can do it so easily. I mean, it's as simple as them going down to the county clerk's office and filing the paperwork.
24 bucks.
Yeah. And now it's on you as the homeowner, as the investor, to get that removed. And I mean, is there anything, you said earlier, there's nothing criminal you can do, huh? I mean, when people are doing that.
No, I mean, even if you show they're extorting everybody, there's nothing criminal you can do. Because what happens is 10 years ago, the homeowner was screwing the subcontractor. So, the problem with state law, federal law, or governmental law is it doesn't swing to left or to the right. It swings all the way back to the left or all the way back to the right. So it's kind of like a pendulum axe sitting there cutting everything in his path.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened with the subcontractor law is it swung very, very far on the contractor's favor to where the homeowner, the investor, and the builder, I mean, they're being extorted and there's nothing that they can do. I've talked to several of the developers and builders, a bunch of my clients in Austin, where they're getting together and they're making a list of, shame on you, subcontractors. So if these subs that get on a list, they're starting to get together to boycott these guys and to blackball these guys to where they're not getting any more work because it only takes a few times for them to get a reputation. So that's the biggest thing because they got to file in real proper records. And so if you do a search for that contractor's name, you see how many times they file these liens saying that they haven't been paid. And if you contact the builder, I'm sure the builder would be more than happy to talk to you and says, hey, this is what happened. And, when one of these realty ruckuses, we talked about slander, that's not slander because that's telling a story. That's saying, hey, this is what happened. This is my opinion of them. And the opinion is not slander, and neither is the publishing of different information on who files these liens, when they file them, how they file them, because that's all relevant information. Because if I am trying to, build a house, and then I use, just one of these subcontractors, it could derail the whole project.
Yeah.
Especially in situations like what example earlier, where you pay the guy cash and they turn around and say, "Hey, I never got paid."
Yeah.
I mean, that's done a lot, to where people are just have a bunch of cash, they hand it out and says, "Okay, hey, here you go."
So what happens in the case of like frivolous liens? The guy's never even done any work there and just sees that the house is being built. It's a builder, and he goes and he says, "Hey, I'm going to file a lien on that house," and they'll never know whether it's valid or not. What happens in that situation?
Well, you got to do a declaratory judgment in the court, and then the courts can rule that this is a frivolous lien, that this is a valid lien. Longer can the and so that's why they do basically file that answer, general denial. Now, many times the general denial is the only thing they ever file. They don't hire an attorney to file that, because all they do is just show up, file one quick document, general denial, and then there goes to default status, and there's a full-blown litigation. So generally it will be one on a summary judgment motion, which is a disposition, pretrial disposition motion, which basically states that, I'm granted as a judgment as a matter of law.
Yeah.
And so, it's basically one on the law saying that, hey, there's no way he can win, and there's every way I can win. So, so instead of going through the expense of trial, the judge grants me, as the homeowner.
And that might actually reduce those attorney's fees. From $35-40, you may only spend 10 or 15 if you get a summary judgment.
That's correct.
But can you sue the person who put the frivolous lawsuit for all that money you had to spend on attorney's fees, proving that they had that frivolous lien?
Generally speaking, in a declaratory action, a declaratory action, you do have the right to gain your attorney's fees, but unfortunately, with with the clearing a judgment or a title slander action, attorney's fees aren't available. And so what they're going to do is they're going to move it from a declaratory action to a judgment to clear title, which then attorney's fees aren't collectible. So, you're pretty much all the money you paid in attorneys, you're not getting back.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, that seems like a really big problem that needs to be looked at on a higher scale there. I'm surprised that there's not more of these, sleazeballs. That's really what they are, but that there's not more people doing it. And now when I see that, I won't be as surprised. I'll know that it's just a scam. That's all it is a scam that they're running.
That's exactly right. And so hopefully this next legislative session, they will actually do something, because there's enough people who have been burnt by this to where there is, a growing unrestlessness of people just saying, hey, we understand them needing protecting, but let's not give them, everything in the world.
You mentioned the pendulum swings one way and then the other. So
right.
Do you see that the pendulum coming back our way?
I think it should come back a little bit. Whether it'll come back this legislative session or next, I'm hoping to be adjusted this legislative session.
So before we jump into the commercial breaks, I think we've got about a minute left. If you had to give someone 3 things of advice and say, this is the 3 things, if you're going to hire a general contractor to do any type of work, you want to make sure you do these things to prevent a possible future lien, or to be able to at least have a leg to stand on if a lien is filed, what advice would you give them?
Well, use a bonded contractor. Number 1, use a bonded general contractor. Number 2, make sure the general contractor provides a draw schedule. And number 3, when you pay the general contractor, get releases for the work that's been done. Those are the 3 things I can't stress enough.
Yeah, no, that's some great advice. And when you say bonded, how can someone make sure that a contractor is bonded?
Just to ask them.
Yeah.
Just ask them. They should be able to provide the bond.
There you go, guys. Well, that's some really amazing advice. When we come back, we're going to jump into some of the events, what's there to do in Houston over the weekend, and we're going to talk a little bit about football It's still a ways away,
but it's coming.
It's coming. It's coming.
Thank God.
It can't come faster. So we'll be back in just a few seconds, guys. We'll catch y'all on the Ruckus.
Is Tebow going out for football again, or is he done?
NAREP Greater Houston is bringing the country's top realtors and lenders to one place to help you develop, retain, and grow a powerful team in real estate. July 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. at Gallery Furniture Southwest. Make sure you reserve your spot. This is going to be the place to be. Email us at houston@narep.org. That's houston@nahrep.org for more information. Hey realtors, I have a challenge for you. Walk into your broker's office and ask him to show you how to do a net listing, a wholesale investment transaction, or a subject to. I'm Alan Hernandez, broker of White Picket Realty, and my team and I have been doing these type of transactions for years. We can show you how to do the same and turn small deals into big checks. If you're interested in learning more, please contact join@teamwpr.com, join@teamwpr.com.
Hey everyone, this is David over at White Picket Realty, and I wanted to tell you about my friends over at Plans Express who can save you the headache of running your own permits. These guys are committed to offering a one-stop solution for all your plan and permit needs. They're proudly serving their friends and neighbors in the Houston surrounding areas, and they offer great service at an exceptional value. With dedicated professionals ready to serve, contact them today at 832-675-6217.
The Realty Ruckus is going to be broadcasting live August 9th at White Picket Realty's Happy Hour. This is an event for you guys to RSVP for and really get ready to ramp up your business. David, can you tell us a little bit more about it?
That's right, Alan. Come grab a cold one and beat the heat with Team WPR. We'll have over 200 plus real estate industry professionals attending. That's private money lenders, wholesalers, realtors, you name it. We'll be at the St. Arnold Brewery on August 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. You can RSVP at whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. Again, that RSVP link is whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com.
And we are back on the Realty Ruckus, and we're coming into our last segment here, but we did have a couple of questions as we were leaving for the break on who it was that was speaking and what they do and how they can be contacted. So why don't you tell us, just a quick introduction for everyone who hasn't heard you on the program before.
Okay, I'm Ashley Patton with the Patton Law Firm. My telephone number at the office is 713-621-5808. We are first and foremost, we're a title company / law firm. Close early, often, and late. We have Hispanic closers. We have one main office in Houston on 610 in Westheimer, 3 in Austin, 1 in Dallas. We are expanding to Katy pretty quickly. Any questions, please let me know. My email, if you want to email me, it's Ashley, ASHLEY, at plfpc.com. It's short for Patent Law Firm, Professional Corporation. That's ASHLEY at plfpc.com. And Jabron and David, I appreciate y'all having me on today.
Oh, no, we love having you on. And we do this for anyone who's a first-time listener. This is a Friday. This is a regular segment that we do where we talk about whatever legal aspects, legal questions anyone may have. And it's amazing to be able to have an attorney on who can actually give you legal advice, because Alan and I can sit up here sometimes and tell you our opinions,
yes,
but we're not qualified to give you legal advice. And if you took legal advice from me or Alan, I would recommend that you go talk to Ashley about it first.
And please,
well, Alan and Hebron said this.
And please keep the questions coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So thanks so much for listening, guys. We're coming up on our last segment. So I want to jump into a little bit about Houston, and I want to talk about football because something major just happened.
The heart of Houston was affected.
I know. It was the shock heard around the world. What happened, David?
J.J. Watt underwent some back surgery. He actually played most of last season with a herniated disc in his back, and so now he had surgery for the off season here. And so for practice and training camp, he's going to be on the physically unable to perform list.
Wow, that's a big deal because I read that injury, he's looking at somewhere between 6 weeks to 10 weeks.
Well, the Texans are expecting him back for the home opener on the opener, I believe, on September 11th.
So they are expecting him back.
They are expecting him back. And for those, I know a lot of y'all are worried out there about J.J. Watt and the Texans and how they're going to do. Don't worry, guys. He also missed training camp last year, and he still recorded 17.5 sacks. So I think
that's not too bad.
Yeah, I think we'll be. I think it'll be all right.
I will say this though: anyone who remembers, he didn't play any of the preseason, and neither did Vince Wilfork. Mm-hmm. And when they came in game 1, they looked rusty.
Right.
Like, they didn't look like they were at full game speed.
Yeah.
So I hope that we don't have another situation like that this year, where we're running into players that just aren't ready to perform. That's a little scary. So, but football can't come back fast enough.
That's right.
I think I heard it was 50 days away, and I was like, it needs to hurry up. That's the regular season. I think is 50 days away. So in Houston, we want to talk about a couple of events that we're also having here. Next week, July 28th, is the NAREP. That's NAHREP event that they're doing, and it's out at the Gallery Furniture off of Highway 6 and 59. I believe that's correct, right? Or is it Grand Parkway and 59? Grand Parkway and 59.
Gotcha.
So it's at the Gallery Furniture off of Grand Parkway and 59, and this is NAREP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and they're bringing in a bunch of guys that are top producers. We're talking about top 3 producers in the nation, and they're going to be telling you about how to build your team.
Yeah, so we have David Acosta. He's going to be talking about a multiple market expansion team. Mario Negron is going to be talking about a large team. Ruby Miranda, more about how to build a small team. So you're actually going to be able to hit a lot of different points as far as the teams go.
So whether you're in your career, whether you're just getting started
Exactly.
and ready to build 1 or 2 people on your team, or you're expanding where you're ready to put 15, 20 people on your team, there's going to be information for everyone there.
Exactly. And we'll also have Mark Demas, Frankie Bonilla, Ozzy Ramirez, and Clifton Saunders joining us. They'll be speaking as well. And they do have, you can search it on Eventbrite, and you can register there. Again, that's Thursday, July 28th. It's going to be at 4 p.m.
And that's, if they're going on Eventbrite, they need to search NAREP, N-A-H-R-E-P.
NAREP Greater Houston, and the event's called Building Teams.
And there is a small charge for that, but I believe there's a small food that's being served there as
well.
Yeah.
There's different charges depending if you're a member or not. It varies, but yeah, there is a charge for the event. But I mean, it's an investment.
Yeah, no, that sounds like an amazing event. I hope everyone goes to that, because it is important to understand how to build your team. Because one of the biggest problems in
you're looking for a little bit of a lighter event, some networking, get to network. I believe upcoming this week, we have Capital Concepts and Blake Yarborough. They're hosting their happy hour at LaGrange again.
Okay, yeah, no, and that location, I love it. That place is awesome. It's a lot of fun. You get out there, it's a speed networking. They have different people at every table. You talk to experts that know a lot of different things about the industry. So you're not just talking one topic all night long. You can talk to people who do rental property, people who do flips. There's hard money lenders, all sorts of people that show up to this event. So you definitely want to go to that. And then we also have our White Picket Happy Hour coming up.
Exactly. You guys don't want to miss that. We regularly have over 200 plus investors, realtors, wholesalers, you name it, they're going to be there. We have a lot of great sponsors. Patent Law Firm is going to be there. And that is August 9th from 6 to 9 p.m. That's at the St. Arnold Brewery. And the Realty Ruckus will actually be broadcasting live from St. Arnold Brewery. So that's going to be a great event. Please come out and join us.
That's right. And you also want to put that on your calendars. August 9th, during our regular time, 10 to 11, we'll have a replay of a previous episode, but we'll be doing the live episode that night at the St. Arnold's Brewery. So make sure you have that on your calendar. And if I'm just looking for something fun to do over the weekend, what's going on in Houston this weekend?
Yeah, well, real quick, if you guys want to RSVP for that happy hour, the link is whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. Again, it's whitepickethappyhour.eventbrite.com. You can also find the event on Facebook. But as far as around town going on this weekend, just to give you guys something to to do this weekend. The Houston Symphony is putting on their DreamWorks show. They're going to be playing all the DreamWorks themes from the movies.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Stephen Marley's going to be playing at the House of Blues, and I know we have a lot of Pitbull fans out there. He's going to be at the Mitchell Pavilion up north, and Steve Miller Band will be at the Revention Center. As far as sports go, Houston Astros are facing off against the Los Angeles Angels, and the Houston Dynamo is facing off against the Whitecaps. The circus is still going on all weekend, all the way up until the end of July, and the Kasama at the end of the Universe exhibition.
Where's the circus at?
The circus, that one I'm actually not sure. Let me look it up real quick. It's at the Miller Outdoor Theater.
Okay.
Okay.
Downtown, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's over by Herman Park. That's pretty cool. The Miller Outdoor Theater, they usually do a lot of cool free events there, so make sure you guys check it out. Other than that, is there anything else in Houston to do this weekend, or is that pretty much it?
That's it. That's going on this weekend. I hope you guys have fun, but stay cool. It does look like the Houston Dynamo is going to be having the Pokemon Go weekend, so maybe I might actually make it to a soccer game.
They're going to be setting off all sorts of lures for the Pokemon out there. Well, guys, thank you so much for being honest with the Ruckus. Thank you, Ashley, for being in studio with us again.
Thank you for having me.
Alan will be back on Tuesday, guys, so you don't have to suffer through me and David again.
Or he mentioned we put the alien head up there.
We put an illegal alien head there to replace Alan, according to him. Thanks for listening to the Ruckus, guys, and we will catch y'all on Tuesday. Have a good one.
This has been the Realty Ruckus. Make sure and join us every Tuesday and Friday for new episodes. Find us on YouTube and Facebook for replays of previous episodes. And as always, keep elevating yourself and keep up your ruckus. Thanks for listening. Realty Ruckus has been brought to you by Smart Pig Media Productions.